I want you to picture this. It is the last day of work before holiday break. 23rd of December, myself and my coworker are the only people in the office. And I start talking about how I wanted to do a video like this, and a video at all, for a very long time, which is to go through all of my current active works in progress for knitting, crocheting, sewing, all of the granny crafts. And I was talking about how I was kind of uncertain about doing all of that. And she was like, oh my God, no, you should do that. I would love to see that. So, Annalise, this is for you. I'm going to go through every single whip that I have for all of my crafts. And with the goal being, hopefully throughout this year, I could start finishing them. Now, do I exactly want to finish all of them before I start something new? No, but the idea is to try and finish most of them, or to maybe frog some of them, knowing that I will start them and complete them later. So I can focus on the things that would be the easiest to complete. This is Storm. She's a cat. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go through all of these. I would also like to preface that I don't have any expectations that any of these things are gonna get finished throughout this year. That's not why I craft. I craft for the process, not for the product. So sometimes I will just decide I worked on that and I'm done working on it. And then I will take it apart. And you just have to be okay with that. If you're not okay with that, maybe this video and the series is not going to be for you, and that's okay. Storm's decided we're going to tackle what's on my desk first. All right, we'll start with this guy. I started this in the middle of December-ish. This is a Tunisian crochet scarf. It is the AdventUrous Scarf pattern by Teal Yarn Crafts, Tony Lipsy. It's actually the shawl size that she has made in her I let Siri create my scarf video. I saw that video several years ago, and I got really, really inspired. So I learned Tunisian crochet, and I finally got my hands on the palette mini skeins that she uses, and I've just been randomly picking them and going through. I've been working on this on the way to work, on the public transportation that I use, and I've gotten pretty far. I was not totally loving it as blue came in, but I'm liking it more now that we've got some more of these random colors. It's gonna be pretty big. I'm super excited. That one for sure I'm going to finish, and I'm gonna just chuck that over there. Okay, another project that I have recently started is this Daydreamer sweater, I think is what it's called. It's by Andrew Mowry. It is a cabled bottom-up cropped sweater. You can see it's got this really fun split hem that I really like. And it just has this repeating cable pattern. It's actually really easy to memorize. It's one of the first cables that I've actually been able to continue to work on without having to reference the chart, which is nice. Cabling it completely without a cable needle. So I have one needle. My feeding needle is a 3.25 millimeter, and then the actual project is knit with a 3.75. That way it's a little bit easier to do the cables without the cable needle. I also have a strand of palette in the color cream. I was really just gonna do the whole thing in the palette, but it doesn't look right. It looked too open. I don't gauge swatch, and I'm not going to. So then I pulled out some of my Knitting for Olive mohair. This is in the color Cloud, to see how that looked with the ribbing on the bottom. I ended up really liking it. I'm not the hugest fan of mohair because I find that it is itchy, but I had it, and I'm waiting for the remainder of the balls to arrive so that I can actually continue to work on this after this one runs out. I've kind of taken a break from working on this. I've been working on this pretty much anytime we were in the car, in my office at work. I've been bringing both this one and the scarf to work, and been working on either depending on what kind of mood I'm in. That's the kind of crafter I am. Sometimes I want to do cables. Sometimes I just want to do plain stockinette. Sometimes I want to crochet, which is very rare. Sometimes I want to just sew, and I just do what I want to do, which is why I have so many works in progress. But I haven't been working on it in the last couple of days because it's been hurting my knuckles working at such a small gauge and probably not using that cable needle. But I still like it. I'm excited to wear it. I have a long black dress that I like to wear my sweaters on top of. That I'm excited to wear this one. Also didn't realize how much mohair sheds. Okay, this is a Kerr Sweater by the Crochet, aka Rebecca. She is Scottish, so I'm sure I'm not saying that right. I just got to the color work section. The reason I'm not farther on this one is because I had started it, realized it was too small, and then restarted it. And I just haven't been in the mood for color work currently. I will get into a color work mood. I'm just not there right now. And then once I do that, I will bust through the color work. But this is in Happy Place. It's a 50% cotton, 50% wool. That color is the new Happy Place. This is the old Happy Place that I got in a de-stash. And typically this sits on the coffee table downstairs, and I will sometimes work on it when I am watching TV on the couch. But right now the coffee table is being covered by a puzzle from the boyfriend. So put that over there. This is a pair of DK socks. This is the only pair of DK socks that I have started ever. Knit quite a few pairs of socks. And we'll see if I knit another pair after these are done and I actually like wear them. The intention is to either wear them around the house or to wear them on that like 1 week a year where we get weather that's in like negatives. Doesn't happen very often, and I'm talking about negatives in degrees Fahrenheit, but it usually does happen like once a week in February. It's really cold, and since I don't drive to work, I walk and take public transportation. Sometimes it's nice to have some thicker socks. I typically will wear 2 pairs of socks when it is that cold. But I haven't memorized this pattern yet because this is the first pair that I'm doing. My fingering weight socks, like I know what I like. I just do the pattern. So that's probably why these aren't done yet, is because I just don't know how like long to do the foot, and I don't want to keep looking at the pattern. These are actually this yarn, Treehouse Knits. I got this as a gift. Color is Serendipity. They are 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. I got 3 of them as a gift. And maybe I'll make one into a hat, one into these socks. Who knows? This is a sock. It's a shorty sock that I made back when I first learned how to knit socks. So the first pair of shorties that I made. It's not even a pair though. For some reason, and I don't remember why, I think maybe I thought that it just didn't fit right. I don't remember why, but I like put it on and I was like, it doesn't fit. I found it. I put it on and I was like, it's fine. So I don't know. I don't know. And then I know I have more of this yarn. I have another one right there. I got this in at the same D-stash that I got the Happy Place yarn in. Boyfriend's sister also crafts, and she let me look through all of the bins of yarn she was de-stashing before she donated the rest of it. She's actually dyed some of this yarn. She dyed this yarn. So I took all of it that she dyed because that's pretty fun and special. I knew I had more of this, and then I was like, well, I don't think I have more of this contrast color, so maybe I will just frog this and put this in my scrap bin. And then I found the red yarn in the scrap bin. So I'm undecided if I'm going to finish the other sock. It's not going to take that long. Like, I even have the knitting needles right there. So I'm still thinking about it. I was pretty dead set on frogging this, and I have been for a long time, and then I found the other yarn, and I'm like, well, why don't I just finish that? So I guess that's a good segue into speaking about my scraps. I have this lovely bin that has a index card right there that says Scrap Bin Projects. Very high tech over here.
Most of these I started back in 2023. It is almost 2026. The problem is I was like, I'm gonna knit all these socks and these hats and these fun things to use up all of this yarn behind me. There's another one of these boards over there, and there's more yarn than I can see in the closet. Turns out I don't finish things very quickly or very often. So it's been kind of slow going, but I've been working on this mitered square blanket approximately since like 2023-ish. I've actually just added in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares, 8 squares in the last couple of days. And I've been adding those in slowly but surely. Like this one's also a random mini skein. The last 2 years we've gone to a fiber festival in September. So I'm not going to try to like buy any new yarn this year until then. I'm not going to say the whole year because I know we're going to go and I want to support the small businesses and the vendors who are there. So I'm going to buy some of their yarn. And if this year wasn't a very like heavy mini skein year, 2 years ago was, and I bought a whole bunch of mini skeins that I'm going to be putting into this blanket. And then from there, because this doesn't use a whole mini skein, so I have been making a bunch of little granny squares with sufficient leftover sizes. As you can see, they're all the same number of rows, but my gauge changed on some of them. That one is like really small. I have plenty more of this yarn if I decide that that is too small and I can make that into a coaster. I guess I have those two together. I won't go through all of them. I think I have like approximately 30 right now. And then I have, like, I just added this yarn into that other blanket. I'm going to add it into, I'm going to make a granny square out of it to use it up. I have taken, like I just made this yarn, I put it in that first blanket, I made it to a granny square, and now it is in this bag. I've been making these little squares for the Battenberg blanket. I just ordered, and it has just shipped, the like solid neutral color that I will use to join all these together. I don't have one with me, I left it downstairs, but originally I was working on this, I was doing a DK weight, and I had 2 rounds, and I just wasn't working on it, and I ultimately decided that I don't like that. Actually, I do have some with me. So this is what I was originally doing, and this is what I am doing now. And so I am taking these apart. One of these makes approximately 2 of these. And then I have to like add like a tiny bit of yarn at the end, which I'm just magic knotting and then sticking in there. So I made these little bags. I sorted them all out based on like color, and like how many squares I had made already. And I put them in these little bags. I will grab a little bag, I will work through the bag, and then they will go in here. And I've been working on, I have more of these. I've just been weaving in the ends so that I don't have all of the ends weaving at the end, because that's a lot of little squares. The last one I have is I'm making a granny stripe blanket with a magic knot ball. So after I put the Scrappy, this is crazy. After I put it in the mitered square blanket, and then I make a granny square, and then I'm making the little Battenberg granny squares. Whatever's left, I put in a little magic knot ball. And then periodically, when I'm in the mood to just work on this, I will just work on adding that magic knot ball into here. And this one is the only one I have a date on. I don't even know if you can see it, but it says started September 2023. So, cool. As we have discussed, I used to work at Joann's. In Joann's passing, as I worked there, and in her passing, I have bought and acquired a lot of Joann yarn. And there's going to be a theme with some of this yarn, is that I was sad, Joann's was gone, and then I didn't want to work on the project, and I started a different project.
This is yarn I got at Joann's. It is not exclusive to Joann's. I just bought it at Joann's. Oh, I wrote this down. I started this 6/1/2025. It's a baby blanket. It's probably not going to be for a baby because the little holes make me nervous. This is actually the second one I was working on. We'll find the first one somewhere. It's in here. I've been doing a few rows of this, and then this navy, which is Big Twist varsity navy. This one is a different dye lot from the project that I have somewhere. That is entirely in Varsity Navy, hence why I'm putting it in here. And this was more of just like a stash busty project, and then I was going to put it in the donate, and then I was going to donate it.
Okay, and then I have this bag from Joann's, and in it I have some big twist and the crochet hook. Pretty much if I'm crocheting with worsted weight acrylic yarn, it's with a 5mm, which is handy because I have 2 of those.
At one point I got a whole bunch of the, I don't think I have a label or I would show you, the Lion brand Basic Stitch antimicrobial yarn. It has a different texture from the normal Basic Stitch yarn. I actually like this texture a lot more. I feel like it feels a lot more like false wool, because that's what acrylic's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a spoof on wool. I like the texture. It's discontinued, but I pretty much got like 1 ball of each color because I was going to make a temperature blanket for my Oma that was all of the colors for the year I was born. But as I started making it, I really liked it. Yeah, I was like, this is shit. She was a tiny person, and this was far too big. It was like a queen size bed size that it was going to end up turning out. So I started taking it apart. Actually, I'm taking all of it apart. I'm sure we're going to find...
I keep gesturing over here because there's 2 storage bins that are full of like acrylic and maybe some cotton goodies.
So I made a whole bunch of these squares in these like rainbow colors because these are the only colors that they had. And like at one point I would just like come home from work and I would just take one of the stains and I would just make as many squares as I could until I got bored of that color. And then I went and moved on to a different color. That's just kind of, again, that's how I craft.
And I have started doing the join as you go for all of the squares. It's been taking a little while because I have been working really hard on making sure I weave in all of my ends on the back before I join the square in. Because I could join all of these squares in and then I will have a problem, and the problem will be the next project that I show you.
So I might give it to my granddad, I might not. I might pawn it off on someone at work, who knows, but I will finish joining all together. I had it laid out at one point. I don't think I took a picture, and then when we moved I just like threw all the squares in the bag, and I somehow managed to get my hands on one of these before Joanne Apocalypse happened. In the event that I run out of the other yarn, which I think I will, I don't think I'll use up all of this to join this, but I think for the one I'm going to show you next, I used 2 of these to join. And then I'm going to do, I think, a scalloped border in this tan color, which I think is fun because the tan is not in here. I think it would complement the rainbow really well.
Okay, so maybe I should have talked about this blanket first, but it's more decided. Back in 2023, that period in between my student job ending when I graduated and me starting to work at Joann Fabrics, and nobody else wanted to hire me, I was feeling quite sad about that. I had bought like 1 or 2 packs, don't actually remember how many I bought, of the Brava mini skeins, which is acrylic yarn.
Hi. I was inspired by Tony's I let Siri pick my scarf, like my scarf video, that I decided that I was going to assign a random number to each of these little mini skeins. And then I made a spreadsheet where each one of these pieces, I had it randomly generate a number. So that's the color that I would use to make the sunburst granny square. This is the Hygge Burst blanket by Mallory Crawl. It is free on her blog, and it is the most fun and like wild blanket that I think you have ever seen. I love it, but I am gonna probably give this away to someone. It's not quite like the size that I would want for a blanket,
And I know that someone else will like really, really love it, but I have taken pictures of like all of the color combinations on the squares that I do like. And then I did this silly little bubble border because I thought it was fun. And you might be like, this blanket looks like it's done. Why is this a work in progress? Well, you know how I mentioned that I've been trying to weave in all my ends before I attach the squares together on another blanket. That's because I did not do that on this one. And so I'm slowly working through it. I think I only have like a quarter of them left, but I still have ends to weave in on this blanket. And it's funny because I love to like hand quilt quilts, and for some reason this is like the worst thing ever, weaving in all of these ends. Kind of the downside of how long this has been in progress is there's some spots where it's very clear that my cat, not the boyfriend's cat, but my cat, the cat you saw at the beginning of the video, has snagged her little claws in it. And I think that's fine. It's normal wear and tear, and whoever takes this blanket, I will just like make them aware that Storm has also left her mark. But I would like to finish this one and then give it to someone so it's no longer taking up space. And I can do a different blanket or like a similar blanket in a different yarn, etc., etc. Over the summer, I was like, I am going to finish all of my whips, and I'm going to put the ones I want to finish in this basket, and I'm going to work through the basket. That lasted maybe 2 weeks. The boyfriend went on a backpacking trip for about a month. And so I started a lot of projects, and I bought a lot of yarn while I was lonely and sad. That's just what happened. This first one on top, I bought some Brava in sport weight from Knit Picks and We Crochet. I don't know what happened to me. I think what is considered more like winter colors. Not a huge fan of wearing fall colors or like more summery colors. I was watching Michelle Jasic. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She does crochet projects. She lives in Canada. Her color palette is like the exact opposite. I love cool colors. She loves warm colors. And so for some reason, like she just spoke to me. I was originally going to get like an orange, and then I was like, don't do that. Because why would you get an orange? And there's another project that we'll get to that I'm okay with it being orange because I will wear it in the fall time. So I got these 3 browns, and I think that this is probably something that I'm much more likely to wear. I have a brown vest that I knit that I wear all the time because it's the only vest that I've actually finished, and I want to, I've like casted on a bunch of vests because I want to wear more vests. Just have to finish them. But this is the bottom hem of a Tessellated Cardigan from Andrea Mowry. And I'm not certain if I'm going to continue to work on this right now, or if this is one that I will frog and work on later, or if I will just do something different with this yarn. Like I could make another one of those blankets just in the sport weight with this yarn instead, and I have some more of it there in this bin that I see that is in other colors for a different project, although I might finish that project. So I'm undecided. So I know that I said that like my color palette is not like warm tones, but when I worked the Joann's, it's gonna be a theme with some of these older projects. For these 2, there was just 2 of them, and they didn't have a place, which is why they have this little label on them. 2 of these mandala yarns in the colorway Thunderbird that for some reason spoke to me. This is another way that I craft. Sometimes I will start things because the yarn or the project speaks to me. It spoke to me. This yarn spoke to me. I started doing this thing when I worked there where I was like, if this is still there by my next shift, I will buy it. But I wanted to give someone else a chance if they wanted to buy it. But then 2, as a way to be like, I really don't need this, but I want it. And so if it's meant to be, it will still be here. So I'm making that same baby blanket as that one over there. This one is actually probably going to be for one of the cats. Probably the cat that lays on things, which is Storm. And I just really love the way the mandala yarn is like working up in this. I'm literally almost done with this one. I've done one skein already. You can see where I joined the other skein. I've done the one And this has, I started this 6/1/2024. So I started it, I worked on it, I put it away, and I did not crochet for almost a year. Didn't crochet anything for almost a year, which is why you're gonna see some more like crochet projects. I did not crochet for almost a year. So I pulled this back out. I started working on this one, and then for some reason, before I finished this one, I started that blue one. And once I have the urge to like crochet a whole bunch again, I will finish it. This one is definitely gonna get frogged. I made this decision the other night when I could not sleep. This is a vest, a granny stitch vest that I self-drafted, and I like it. I like the concept. I like the execution. I'm liking the pink accents. 2 reasons why I'm gonna frog it is, one, I just don't think, I think it's, this part is too tight. And I haven't blocked it yet. This is made out of Lion Brain's 24/7 cotton DK, and I like it. I liked crocheting with it, which was exciting. But I think that this part is a little too tight. It's gonna like pull in and like bow out, which isn't a bad thing. The other reason is because, like I mentioned earlier, I wear a lot of dark clothing. I wear a lot of black things, and then I will layer stuff over the black. You can't see the stitch pattern. I don't think you can see it right now either, because I did it in black yarn. But never fear, I'm going to frog this. I have all of my notes written down for this, so I could make it again in a different yarn if I so chose, and I might. And then this black yarn is going to be a Lunan Polo by Crochet, or aka Rebecca, because I have a whole bunch of this black in that yarn. Because my last week at Joann's, last 2 weeks at Joann's, for some reason I got a little frantic and I just bought a whole bunch of cotton yarn. It was also like in the middle of the summer, so I was like buying all of this cotton yarn with the thought that I was going to like make a lot of summer knits with them and summer crochet projects. I don't make a lot of those, or at least I don't right now. So I have a bunch of cotton. I have a lot of cotton, and I like working with the cotton. But I just don't think I'm going to wear this in its form. And I also don't want to take the time to like finish the last 2 bits of ribbing just to donate it, when I could take apart this yarn and I could use it for something that I am going to wear. Okay, last thing in the basket, which is good. This is 100% going to get finished. I have been working on it for this long. I am determined to finish it. Once I untangle it so you can see what it is. Well, that didn't really help. Is this the top? No. What? Well, that's not helpful at all. This is one of those like granny hexagon cardigans. You can see the like granny square there. This is made out of a cotton yarn called Sugar Wheel Cotton Solids from Hobby Lobby. Not only do I no longer shop at Hobby Lobby, I also, this yard's discontinued. So I've done the ribbing on the bottom. The first time I had done the ribbing on the bottom, it was too tight. I took it apart, doing it again. It looks like I have picked up the stitches. I actually didn't realize I had done this. I picked up the stitches to do the button band, and that's probably why I stopped, because I was probably thinking about buttons. Oh yeah, like I literally just picked up the stitches. That's like all I've done. It's been a while since I've been working on this. I was working on this over the summer. It is December 29th. And then I still have the cuffs to knit as well. I refuse to do crochet ribbing. You can't make me. But if that is what you like to do, that is totally okay. You craft the way you want to craft. I will craft the way I want to craft. Then this will be a nice like summer knit when it's all done. I think I was learning how to do buttonholes. I was learning how to do buttonholes, and that's the reason why I had stopped. The reason why I'm so dead set though on finishing this project is, one, because it's going to be really cute, and two, because this is one of the very first like crochet garments that I started working on when I learned to crochet. So I learned to knit in 3rd grade. I learned to crochet junior year of college, so that was like 2021, 2022-ish. And I had just been making granny square blankets, or I made like a big corner-to-corner blanket that we still have. And that's the kind of crochet I was doing. That's also kind of the knitting that I was doing growing up, was like making scarves, making blankets. I made a lot of American Girl doll clothes, just like self-drafted, freehanded. And then I kind of stopped knitting as like school and life got busier. Then I rediscovered it after I had started crocheting, remembered that I love knitting and then kind of stopped crocheting. But I had been working on this one, and I know how that this is one of the first crocheted garments I worked on because I don't do granny squares like this anymore, or the granny stitch. There's the three for the cluster, the double crochet, and then I chained one, and then I did the next cluster. And as I was working on this, I distinctly remember being like, oh, I don't like how open it is. Some of the granny stitches that I see, it seems a little bit more closed. Not completely closed, but more closed. And then I had learned later that that's because people weren't doing the chain in between the clusters. But that became a problem when I had set this aside, then I picked it up again. I didn't realize I'd done that, so I had to take apart a few of the rows that I had just started doing what I used to do. The other issue is there were a lot of ends to weave in on this guy. And I have been working slowly, not recently, since over the summer, I had been working on like weaving in some of the ends. So you can see like there's a whole bunch on this arm, but I think one of these doesn't have a whole lot of ends. This is clearly the one that I did first because they're literally all of the ends there. But I am excited to like finish this, I think, in the summer when it is 1,000,000 frickin' degrees outside. This will be nice to wear. Like, I don't like summer, okay? I genuinely don't even remember picking up these stitches. So I have no idea, but this one absolutely will get finished. I just don't know when. Probably because it's been sitting at the bottom of this basket, I haven't had the urge to work on it. Let's continue through the chaos of the crochet things. Oh, there's one knitting thing in here. This is a gift for a friend. This friend knows about this gift. This is a oversized seasons cardigan by Ozetta. And I'm still working on the yoke of this. It's been a while since I've like done anything with this. It is half fisherman's rib. I really liked it when I started it. Then I put it away. And then I took the knitting needle off to use it in another project. And then I bought a new JAYG knitting needle to put on here to keep working on it. And the problem is that this, like I had mentioned earlier, about the cord with the acrylic yarn, it's just like too fresh. The one that I had been using on it had like I'd worn it down enough that it wasn't like super sticky on the acrylic. This one is still like that, but I am going to finish this. I might end up like frogging and restarting if like I genuinely can't remember what I was doing, but I think I'm like almost done with the raglan increases for the size that my friend wants. So over the summer I was watching a lot of Michelle's channel, and she has a video where she was crocheting this like checkered sweater, and I thought it was really cute. Price was 2 colors. For some reason I picked 3. My idea was gonna make 3 different patchwork sweaters, and I was gonna do 3 different techniques. So this is traditional crochet. These are double crochets, so you can see it's all attached to the yarn in there, so I'm not going to pull too hard. The other 2 that I was going to do is I'm going to do 1 in Tunisian crochet. And I have a bunch of cotton scraps from the Sugar Wheel cotton solids that don't exist anymore, that I don't buy anymore, and then some like miscellaneous cotton yarn that like my friend gave me from her stash. Was making it to a Tunisian crochet patchwork sweater. I got like almost all the way done with the back panel before I realized it was too small, and I took it apart so that I could add another square onto it. I have notes for that one, I have notes for this one. But again, I frogged it, and then I decided that like this one, that one, and then my third one is going to be a knit patchwork intarsia sweater out of like a dark green, a lime green, and a pink to be like watermelon-y. I thought that'd be fun. I'm going to do all those 3 later after I deal with the rest. And then I will maybe, if I'm still doing this video thing, I will make that into a video for all of you. All of you being Annalise and Laura. This is in the same Sugar Wheel cotton solids. The middle is in a different yarn bee yarn. But I have made all of these, and I had even sewn them together to make a like daisy cardigan. And then I discovered that I needed more squares, and I have no idea what hook I use. I have no idea what pattern I use. Like I have zero clue. And in retrospect, what I should have done is I should not have taken it apart, and I should have just knit the sleeves. But at the time, I didn't think to do that. So I've taken them all apart, and I'm not going to put them back together into that cardigan shape. As you can see, I've pinned this one into a bag, and I have enough to make 3 bags, which will be cute. And one day, I will sew these into a bag, and then into 3 bags, and then I will bring them to work, and maybe I will put a liner in, and I will be like, hello, I made these, take them, and they will be gone. So I know that I can be like, someone take, and someone will take. What else is in here? Let's look. It is underneath. Oh, jeez. Okay, I have some bucket hats that just need the ends woven in. Well, this one has the ends woven in. Why do I still have this one? Okay, well, I need to weave the ends in on this one, and I think I have a friend who does want this one. Another one that needs to be finished. And I have the crochet hook inside. How handy. This is a sweater that, as you can see, is going to be the theme of some of these knit projects. It's almost done. Just a little bit left to do there. And then it just needs to be like blocked. This is in Loops and Threads. Impeccable tweed in the color Aran tweed. This is in the pattern Finest Kind. This pattern I really like. I'm definitely going to make again. I'm going to make a bigger one for me, so it's a little bit more oversized. So it can be longer over my hips instead of the more cropped thing that I do. Like, this is a much more cropped sweater, so it's not tight on my hips. So yeah, I'm like really almost done. And I can't be bothered anymore. At the Joann's. We're back at Joann's again. I worked there during the first bankruptcy announcement. I left literally right before the second one. So we could tell that something was coming. Another bankruptcy, we don't know. Something was coming. We weren't sure exactly what, but we got a whole bunch of stuff. Just a whole bunch of stuff. I stocked the yarn, but there was one day for 8 hours I spent clearancing yarn. I clearanced all of this yarn. So then I decided that I was going to buy one of each color, except for the black, which I kind of, in retrospect, wish I had. I thought that this was similar, if not identical, to this is Big Twist Gentle. I thought it was the same as Big Twist Living. They got mixed up. It was really hard to tell them apart. When I started working with it, I discovered that this is a bulky weight, and the Living is a worsted weight. I couldn't even really tell that this was bulky compared to that. They seemed really similar. So I got one of each, and I was going to make, surprise, surprise, a granny square blanket. So I started working with it. I didn't really love crocheting with it. This kind of yarn tends to unravel. It's got a bajillion plies, and I just wasn't loving crocheting with it. And so then I just put it in a bag and I put it in my closet. And then, surprise, surprise, I was watching Michelle, and she made this diamond granny stitch cardigan out of a bulky weight yarn. And I was like, again, this is while I was alone over the summer while the boyfriend was backpacking the Colorado Trail. Just down to the bottom. I was just taking all of these yarns, and again, I bought one of each color except for the black. So I have a rainbow and then white, and a brown. And I was just going to make this, kind of ugly, but also kind of fun and cute cardigan out of this. And again, I was just going to be done with it and donate it once it was done. And then this was one of those projects where I was like, I want to work on this, but not right now. I need to stop, casting things on. I need to focus on finishing some things. Things in the basket that I did not end up finishing. So I will pull this out again at one point, but that's just going to go back in here because I don't need that right now. And then I have a whole bunch of this impeccable tweed. Part of the reason why I was making this sweater out of this impeccable tweed was because I had a bunch of this impeccable tweed, because at one point it was all I was making were crocheted blankets. I had made that random one out of the Brava mini skeins, the Hygge Burst one, and then I had bought one of each of these tweed ones, and I was doing the same thing, and I was going to gift this to someone for Christmas. The problem was I did not adequately estimate my abilities, and I've been joining them all together. So a bunch of squares. I've been joining them all together with that Aran color yarn. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to sew these together to make a pillow, and then I will either put the pillow on my couch or I will gift to someone. One day though, that is a one day project when I'm in the mood to weave in those ends and sew them together. In here I also back when I worked at the Joann's. The problem with stocking the yarn is that I got to see all of the really cool yarn that we got in before we put it out. So for example, this is a KNC hand-dyed yarn. This is their merino, nylon, their sock mix, not the cotton, because they also did a cotton. I literally remember opening the box when we took it off the truck and seeing this. And this is called Happy Highlighters. For some reason, I bought all 6 skeins that came off that truck. And now I still have 3 over there that are not wound up. And I think I have 2 that are wound up in that bin over there. I don't even like this color. I bought one of each of the colors of these that we had at the time at the store at Joann's. And then I was joining them as we went in this hexagon blanket that I'm starting, I think, to like make a corner on, and I'm just gonna keep going until I have no more yarn. This is the center. That's where I started. I fell into that other trap though, heaving in those damn ends. So I was doing a really good job at like weaving them in, and then eventually I was like, well, I only need to weave in the one on the side because that's where you're joining. I don't need to weave in the one in the middle. And now I have a bunch of them. Just gonna put this back in there. It's another problem for another day. But I would like to pick like 3 different projects to focus on until they're done. One that's like almost done, one that's in the middle, and one that's kind of just begun. We shall see what happens. Wow, and I haven't even talked about the sewing projects. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, let's talk about these. These are more recent. Like all of the Joann's stuff I was talking about is older. This is a little bit more new. This is a pair of socks for one of my coworkers. It is the first time I'm doing a Picot on the cuff, which is really cute. I'm going to do these 40 rounds for the leg. This is casted on 64 stitches. I have learned that to not have this, that I really need to cast on both socks at the same time. I have this for the contrast heel and cuffs. No idea what it is. Got it from that fiber festival where I got all those mini skeins a couple years ago. This one absolutely will get finished. And this sock. I finished a pair of socks, and I guess I'll put up a picture, that were color work and they have bats on them. And then I was like, I'm in love with the color work. I would like socks for Christmas. It is December 29th. But I did this whole sock, and I'm almost done with the first one. And you might be like, Haley, didn't you just say that you want to cast them both on at the same time? Yeah, I did. Except I've been hand winding all of my stuff because my yarn swift has been in a bin. I didn't want to wind up the other part of the gray. I'm going to finish these and then work on the other ones. And that's fine because these are for me. Who cares? So don't worry, I will finish that. I just, like I said, I was in like the color work mood, and now I'm not in the color work mood. And I will be in the color work mood again. This one is probably going to be a frog to work on later. This is the collar to a Nyx sweater by Crochet. I have some knitting for Olive in Dusty Artichoke and whatever this dark green color is. Who knows? I like started it, and I've done the cast on too tight on the collar. I frogged it. I'm trying a new cast on. I've stopped right before the like back and forth on the short rows. So I either need to make a decision of like, I need to do the short rows and then put it away and pull it back out later, or I just need to like take the needles out and cast it on again later. I think I'm probably going to frog again. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to make the sweater. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to make the sweater right now. So I can prioritize the other things. This one, I think I'm also going to frog. Not because there's anything wrong with it, and I'm absolutely going to make this pattern. But it's been so long since I cast this on. This is another Joanne yarn. It's been a long time since I cast this on. And I think I just want to use this yarn to make something else. And I've learned a lot since I casted this on. So I just don't want to like continue working on it because I have learned some like better ways. but this is going to be, or was going to be, a Fossil Frenzy tee. Again, I am going to make it. Again, I think I'm just going to make it in Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. Right now, I'm working with Eddie Bauer AdventUrous Cotton. It's 100% organic cotton. I really like this yarn. It sold out almost immediately when we got it into the store because sport weight cotton at a big box store. It's awesome. Who cares that it's Eddie Bauer? It's kind of weird that it's Eddie Bauer, but it's 590 yards of sport weight cotton. I had this in a couple other colors, but it like sold out really, really fast, and then it never came back in stock because it was probably just like a limited summer yarn. And I was hoping it would come back again the next summer, and then the land's closed. But I think that I would like to frog this. I can make that pattern start right now. This I'm not frogging. This is more of that yarn that boyfriend's sister dyed that I ended up with. I was originally going to make it into the Geo Gradient shawl. Decided that I really was not loving making a shawl and frogged it. I'm making it into granny squares, and I'm going to make a vest. So that's why I've got some of these partial ones to make the like sleeves up there. So this is going to be a vest. It's going to be really cute. Doing the joining color with the same yarn as that sock. Way from the beginning that you've probably already forgotten about. I have granny squares right here that I can make. Beautiful. Alright. Back in the summer when I was watching Michelle. She made this like beautiful Tunisian crochet sweater for her birthday. I'll explain why it's in a bag in a second. And I was like, well, I have a bunch of orange yarn. This is some KNC hand-dyed yarn. There was like one summer where they did DK weight instead of fingering weight. It was mislabeled on the website. But I was going to make a sweater for my brother. I was going to make the Sabin sweater by Megan Babin for my brother. And I still likely will make my brother that sweater. I just didn't read the pattern. Didn't realize that it was in a worsted weight, not a DK weight. So I bought like 9 skeins of this orange yarn. And as we've discussed, orange, not really my color. My brother loves it. Can't get any more of it as well. That was the other problem, was I was like, I don't know if this is enough yarn. I don't know if this is going to fit, because I bought like 9 skeins, and I'm pretty sure I did the math for like how many I needed. And then I was like, maybe I'll go order 1 or 2 more. Gone. Turns out I bought the last of it. So I'm using that yarn, and I'm using Swish DK in Loam Heather. This is the front panel. It's the same Tunisian pattern that Michelle made in her birthday sweater video. This is the one that I'm okay with it being orange and brown, because I think this will be really nice for fall, for Thanksgiving. I like the vibe of it. Looks like your grandparents' couch. This is the back panel. These are in bags because after I got it and I started working on this on the train every single day to work, I learned that like Knit Picks was having a little bit of a bug issue right around the time that I bought yarn. So then I bagged it all up. I replaced all of my yarn storage with like airtight Sterilite bins that are like bug and pet and water resistant. I stopped working on it after I blocked this piece too. I stopped working on it. I put it all in a bin, and nothing has hatched out of it. And it's been several months. That was July. It's now December. So I think this is fun. Okay, this is another sock that snuck behind. This is a nest sock. Don't remember who made that pattern. But this is, I'm doing it toe up, which I don't like. I've never done a toe up sock until now. I prefer to do cuff down. I had started making one of these. It's a half fisherman's rib leg. I started working on this. I cast it on after I cast on that cardigan for my friend, but I did it in this like yellow color. I got a bunch of these like Fangirl Fibers yarns, and it was this yellow color and it looked really nice. And then I was like knitting with it. I don't really like yellows. We've probably discussed. And then I like put it on and I was like, that really matches my skin tone. I decided I didn't really want those as socks. So I'm using the same kind of yarn for that
cardigan to like the joined color, and then that pair of socks, and then that's also up there, along with this K&C yarn as like the heels and the toes. This one I worked on yesterday, so it's definitely gonna get done. Way back at the beginning of the video, I was talking about a cinema sweater by Picot that I made out of cotton. This is the same pattern, but out of knitting for Olive Merino. It's out of navy and cloud. I'm doing it striped, and then I'm going to duplicate stitch a red lobster on the front. Because one day over the summer, when my coworkers walked in with this lobster sweater they got from Target, and I was like, that's cute. And I was like, well, I could just make my own lobster sweater. And here we are. And then I'm working on the body until the cloud that I have attached runs out. And then I will move on to do the sleeves to make sure I have enough yarn. And I will go back to do the body, because I don't care if the body's like a tiny bit more cropped. I do care if the sleeves are long enough. So absolutely, this one is going to get finished. And then I will duplicate stitch that lobster. By the time it is done, we will no longer, like, lobster sweaters probably aren't going to be like a thing anymore, but that's okay. This is a Semper V-neck vest that literally is about to be joined with a V-neck. I just have to do like a couple of knit flat rounds with some increases. This one I should finish relatively soon, because I would wear that a lot, especially since we finally are starting to get some snow, and I like doing like the layer thing in the winter, because if I don't finish it soon, I'm not going to get to wear it till it's cold again. If I'm going to talk about this sweater, I need to talk about its sister. Back when I worked in Joann's. Somebody count how many times I've said that. We got in this Eddie Bauer wool pack of yarn. It's a DK weight. Eventually they got a worsted one after I stopped working there. 80% extra fine superwash merino and 20% alpaca. I picked it up. And literally I bought all of this purple. I don't have it anymore. I've destashed it. But you can see a theme. I bought all of that happy highlighters. I bought all of this purple. I picked it up. I was like, this is so soft. We were like touching it as we were like unloading things from the truck. We're like, this is so soft. I have to buy this to make a sweater. I bought some of the other colors, and I made a dirty caramel sweater. This is one of the first sweaters I casted on. Okay, back in November 2023. And I have done almost the entire sweater. I need to redo this cuff because I bound it off. I sewed it off too tight. I just have to figure out how to like undo the sewing without cutting it. And then I have this sleeve left to do. And that's it. Why is it not done? Oh well, because I put it on after I had done all of this. I put it on. And it was the most itchy thing I think I've ever worn. This was like fire. So I was really sad about this. I'm going to finish this. At least I'm going to give it to a friend. And my friend is very excited about this. And so I'm very excited to give this to my friend. But I was sad for myself. Okay, because I wanted this sweater. So I cast on and made almost an entire second one of this pattern. Dirty Caramel Sweater by Picot. I'm almost done. Oops. Almost done with one sleeve. I think I have like, I'm doing the same number of rows that I did on this one because it's a superwash yarn. It's going to grow when you block it. So the sleeves will be fine. I think I only have like a few more. Yeah, I have 4 more rounds to do before I start doing the chart for the cuff on this one. And then I just have the other sleeve to do. This is going to be a doozy to edit. I appreciate the only 2 people who are probably going to watch this whole video are Annalise and Laura. Okay, this I had forgotten about. This is an emotional support chicken that I've started. I've made one of these already that I gifted to someone that I used to work with at Joann's. They have it. I'm sure it's doing great. I haven't really kept up with any of those people. This one I made for another coworker at Joann's. She picked out the colors. Currently we no longer work at Joann's. Obviously, she's also moved to a different state. I do plan to finish this, and I would like to mail it to her. The, not problem, but like quirk of the, I don't do a lot of amigurumi, okay? I've made one chicken, I've made one jumping spider, and I think that's it. I don't really like amigurumi crochet or knitting. I prefer granny squares, blankets, sweaters. Doesn't matter. The thing with this though is to get like the shaping, I have to like do each section in one sitting. And that's fine, except that like sometimes I just want to just knit random things. And that's been sitting in this bag pretty much since I left Joann's. So that's great. This one I'm going to finish because it's like it's almost done. And I knit the yoke of this and like the body so quickly. This is by Sasaki & Co. This is the Nocturnal Jumper, I think. It is, the pattern has it knit in like some more fall colors. As we discussed, those are not my colors. And I'm on a sleeve, and then I just have the other sleeve, and there's no color work on the sleeves. So it's just plain knitting, and I had been working on this on the train on the way to work. I think the reason I stopped was because it was getting kind of bulky to like knit with. When did I start this? Did I start this before or after? I don't remember. But I think I should block it to see how it looks with all of like the color work laying flat. If you can't tell, these are cats and moons. The color work will lay flat. And that then might like spur me and my excitement to like finish it, because I will see how it will look when it's almost done. Let's talk about my sewing projects now. So we went over to Thanksgiving, and boyfriend's mom had made all of these patchwork placemats. And for every season, for Easter, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, like she's made so many because she's got a whole like room of fabric and like a ton of scraps to do that with. So boyfriend, after we got home, was like, I would love placemats for our dining room table. We've never had a dining room table before. When we moved back in October, we have enough space to have a dining room table now. It's just a small one. We started working on Patchwork placemats. This is a jelly roll of faux linen tonals from Connecting Threads in these like green colors. So I just like cut the jelly rolls into 2.5 squares, and I've been sewing them together. I have 2 that just need to be like ironed, and then I can like quilt. They were all quilted, by the way, all from placemats. And then I have 1 that I just like, I've sewn all of the rows like the one way. I just need to sew them the other way, and then I need to make 1 more. Part of the problem though with like this next project and then the future projects is only one of these requires a walking foot right now, and it's kind of annoying having to like take it off and put it back on if you don't need it. But this is a quote from my sister. My sister knows about this. She picked the colors, she picked the design. These are little like quilt as you go squares, and then I will assemble them into shapes like that. So I have a bunch of these. She wanted reds and purples, and then I added in like some pinky maroons. This is not all of them, but she wants this to be really big. She wants it to be like full queen size. So I've been just like slowly working through these. This is going to be for my brother. My brother's favorite colors are blue and orange and black and white. So I bought 6 or 8 fabrics. 3 or 4 were orange, different shades of orange, and 3 or 4 different shades of blue. And I've paired them up. And I don't remember if it was like 6 in total or 8 in total. And I'm gonna make these stars. So This orange and this blue are always going to be together, and I will just be alternating between which is the like background and which is the star. And I'll do that for all of the pairs of blue and orange that I have. He hasn't seen the pattern, but he has seen the colors. He's approved of the fabric colors. This next one is not a quilt. So I was watching Kate at the last Homely House, and she has these curtains in the background that are like colorful and patchwork. And I love them, and I decided I'm gonna make myself some. This isn't like a priority project. I started these when we lived in our last place, but these are 3 different batik jelly rolls from Robert Kaufman, and I've just been like mixing and matching all of the different colors. I will sew them all together to make some curtains that when the light comes through, they're gonna be like fun colors. Okay, I had forgotten about this one, and I just went to go grab it. So this is a leftover quilt block from a quilt that I made for boyfriend's younger sibling when they graduated high school to use in their dorm. I did not math correctly, and I ended up with 1 extra one of these. So you can tell this quilt block is huge. I was like, okay, well, I have this extra square, I have this extra batting, I'm going to hand quilt it with some crochet thread. It's in that bin down there, so I'm not going to pull it out to show you. And then I'm going to make this into a project bag, but into this kind of bucket bottom bag. Now the pattern for this doesn't go up to this size, but I think based on like the instructions in the pattern, I can figure it out. But this is I'm gonna also have a back side that I will quilt, but it will just be plain. So it'll have this star on the one side, or maybe I'll make something patchworky. I don't know. But right now I've cut out a piece of just plain to quilt on it. Next project is one that I'm definitely gonna finish soon, but I'm just not gonna finish it the way that I was working on it. So this is for the boyfriend. This is like a little inside joke because this is not one of our cats. But I saw this pattern for this foundational paper piecing cat sticking their paw into this cup of milk. And the reason why I decided to make this was because we had a cat sit for a calico cat that looks like this. Our cats do not do this, but this cat did. She'd come over and she would paw in boyfriend's milk. So I decided to make this cat look like her, and this is gonna be a pillow for our couch. I was supposed to have this done by Christmas, and I did not. That's okay, because the reason why I haven't finished it yet is you can see maybe that I have started making paw prints as the quilting. I'm not gonna keep doing that, okay? I was gonna do paw prints in all of the purple. It takes a really long time. I'm kind of over it. I spent like 8 hours on just these paw prints. So what I've done instead is you can see the outline of the cat on the back in the quilting. So I might add like a couple more paw prints like here and there. But for the most part, I'm just going to stitch in the ditch in all of the seams for the quilting. And then I'm going to make it into a pillow. And I'm going to call it good. And hopefully I have more of this purple because I started using it for another project, forgetting about this one. Hopefully I have enough purple to make the back of the pillow. But he would like that. He's mentioned it several times. So I'm going to leave this one out so that I can work on it. I have one of these projects in my office at work that occasionally, if like I forget a knitting project or like I don't want to work on the knitting project, like I'm in a meeting and I need to focus, I usually will be knitting on something easy to like be able to listen, so I'm not like answering emails or something else. So I have one of these at work, but the rest are here. This is English paper piecing. This is all hand sewn for a quilt top. It's got paper in the back. I will link some videos, maybe in the description. I saw Kate at the last Homely House do her quilt for her granddaughter Agnes, and I decided I need to make my own. That's not this one. That's the one I'm going to get to. But I started doing this one because these hexagons are bigger So I figured that this I could get a quilt top faster. This is intended to be a gift for someone. They do not know it is a gift for them. They do not know about it, which is great because if I never finish it, then they'll never know. But as you can see, that's the same purple. And I'm glad I didn't cut it all into squares for this. So I'm going to try to salvage some for the back of that. And then whatever is left, I will use in this. The problem is, this is just a quilt backing from Joann's. This is left over from a quilt that I made. I got the 109-inch, like the wide quilt back from Joann's, and this is just left over. So I can't get any more of this specific fabric. What I have is what I have. This has cats on it. I was originally going to just do like black and white because I had seen a picture of a black and white hexagon quilt top. And then I saw the cats on Michael's website and I was like, well, I need the cats. So there's these 2 black and white ones. And then I saw the orange ones and I was like, well, I need those. And then said person also likes purple, so that's why I was adding in the purple. And the purple and the orange looks really well together, so, you know, it is what it is. And then I mentioned that I have another one. I mentioned Agnes's quilt from Kate the Last Homely House. I'm going to pull a piece of it. Yeah, I'll pull a piece of it down and show you. It's currently up on, I nailed some knit blocking boards to my wall, and it's currently pinned up on the knit blocking boards. But as you can see, these hexagons, very different sizes. This is a 1-inch hexagon, this is a 2-inch hexagon. That is not measured down the middle, that is measured on the side. So I'm making a quilt for myself with these tiny 1-inch hexagons. I want it to be a color washed quilt. It's inspired by Kate's, so I have a whole bunch of hexagons that I've basted. And then I started sewing them all together. And these blocking boards are 3x3 boards, so I'm going to make 9 of the size of the board so that it can go on our bed. But as you can see, like some of these color changes are a little bit more gradual. Kate had hers be a little bit less gradual. I also think I had more colors. I think she just did like green and purple and blue. I've had like the pinks, the greens, the blues, some like whites in mine. It's inspired by it. It's not an exact copy. And I've just been slowly but surely working on it. I'm almost at a point where I've got this piece and then I have the other half of that like square for the size of the blocking boards. And I'm almost at the point where I can sew both of them together, which is really exciting. That's everything as of right now that I have in progress. Too much. I only have 3 things in the frog pile and I have 1 thing in the maybe frog pile. But my hope is that I'm going to regularly do like a January update, a February update, March update of like all of the things that I have tackled, the things that I've done, not necessarily finished, but the things that I have worked on during that month. And I'll get over it. Okay. Come here. Yeah, come on. Okay, it's time. You gotta move. Okay. Okay. Knitting is my 1 tree left, and everything else comes second or third. Oh boy. Oh no. So, and now we're all tangled. That is the vibe of all of my projects. Here's some knitting needles. Wow, this is really dusty. There's so much dust everywhere.